the opportunity. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak with you today. It's truly my honor to be standing up here. I'm going to talk about living as your embodied soul today, which is a topic that is very close to me as it's been my journey here. And so standing up here in front of you is a very vulnerable place for me because as I talk about this, I'm going to be sharing myself with you. The journey into the soul and living as your soul and living as my soul has been the richest experience of my existence so far. I relate living to my soul embodiment as this roller coaster ride that is incredibly exciting and invigorating and at the same time makes my stomach turn and makes me slightly nauseous. Living as your soul embodiment is not for the lighthearted. It requires a blending or a merging of our divinity with our humanness. And our divinity, despite what most of us believe and strive to attain, is not the part of us that we have the most trouble accepting and being with. Instead, it's our humanness that we most resist and reject. When I first came to this realization, I had been searching for my divinity everywhere. Churches, higher education, books, classes, yoga, meditation, my professional work as a healer, relationships, all the places I thought I was supposed to find my soul. And the truth is I never found it there. I didn't really start finding my soul until I approached the other side of the bench, meaning not looking in all the warm, fuzzy spiritual places that I thought I was supposed to be looking. Instead, I found it in the darkest of all places at that time, that being my own heart. I found it in the empty void that desperately wanted to be filled, but wasn't. I found it in the ways that I was imperfectly human, and in all the ways I wanted to show up in the world, but I didn't. I found it in the pain that I adamantly tried to avoid at all costs, and in being with the things that I felt like would consume me and that I would die if I actually felt them. These hidden parts that I had buried deep, deep, deep inside my body, out of my own conscious awareness, held me frozen stiff inside my body, trapped without the awareness that I even was. It was through uncovering these parts of me that I began to piece together all of the missing, neglected, alienated parts of myself. And I realized my soul as me, as all of me. Not just this external divine source of love and light that runs through me if I could just get out of the way enough, but as all of me, all of the ugly, wrong, disconnected, bad, in the way parts of me. Each of these parts were beautiful, and I discovered that all of our pain and suffering comes from trying to avoid our pain and suffering. I can see some of you relate. We create a story or a label around our pain instead of being with the rawness of how much we really hurt. We try to figure it out, why it's happening, instead of being with it, because we know consciously or unconsciously that if we experience that agony that we've been trying to avoid, it might consume us. Many people I hear say, I've been in pain, or I've been feeling my pain for years, or I've been healing for years. The thing is that once you're fully with your pain, once you're fully with it, even invited in, experience it in its entirety, it changes instantly. That's the nature of healing. It happens in an instant. Everything you experienced up to that point was simply the fuel you needed to heal, to be with what is. The real issue here is that people go for healing to lessen the pain, or the discomfort, no matter if it's a traditional approach or an alternative approach. Most healers, doctors, and people in general feel helpless to pain. They don't know how to be with it. They want to fix it or they want to stop it because that makes them feel more comfortable. It takes boldness, fearlessness, courageousness, and really love to be with someone in that place, fully present with them, and not try to fix them. And this is really contrary to what we believe collectively as a culture. We view pain as the enemy, as something to be eradicated, to get rid of. It means something's wrong. And this has really limited our growth and our evolution. It keeps us comfortable in a state of neutrality, or that word everybody loves, balance. But balance and comfort is really a slow, slow death. Because our true nature is to grow and to expand and to create. And when we're in comfort, there's nothing to push us beyond where we are. When things are good, we try to maintain that goodness, not rock the boat, for fear that things might get worse, not better. Again, if we avoid the worst, if we avoid the pain, we avoid our growth and the richness of life. And instead of living liberated, we live a controlled and good experience. The very thing that we've been conditioned over and over and over and over and over to avoid, lo and behold, is what holds the key to our inner freedom. Our liberation is in feeling and being with the discomfort. It frees us. We become in control of our life again. Avoiding and numbing the pain and suffering no longer rules us because we're with it. We truly become the maker of our life. The path that I have used to access myself and my soul, and how I help others do so as well, has been through the body. One thing I have discovered through my journeys is that the body holds us. Our energy animates, breathes, moves through, and expresses through our body. So if we're stiff, if we walk stiff, or we have a stiff back or stiff fingers, or if we're not breathing or holding ourselves upright through our posture, or if we have pain or illness or disease, those are all expressions of us. We tend to blame our body when something goes wrong with it. We say, my knee is stiff, or my back hurts. We don't say, I'm stiff, or I hurt. We separate ourselves from our body's expression, though they are the same. When we separate off parts of ourselves, we lose that inner ability to access that part and heal it from the inside. This is how we become fragmented and really lose our connection to our wholeness. When we get rid of these expressions without first learning the wisdom from and through our body about us, we miss out on a prime opportunity to go deeper, move into our wholeness, and accept and really love ourselves more fully. I see many, many people in my office whose lives are going great. They've got the job and the relationship and the kids and the spiritual connection, the yoga practice. Yet I feel their body and I feel them in their body, and they're constricted and they're tight. Their spine is rigid, their muscles are hard, they have aches and pains and stomach problems. And they don't see the incongruence between what their mind thinks the reality is and what their body is expressing. Their body is in survival while their mind and their spirit is somewhere else. There's a disconnection between the body and the mind and the soul. And this is epidemic in our culture. Most people don't even know this is going on, just like I didn't. These bodies we have are our vehicle for our soul expression in this lifetime. And if they're locked into survival mode, we'll be limited in our access to ourselves, to heal, to embody our soul, to express ourselves in the world. To embody the energy of our soul requires an immense amount of flexibility and resilience and give in our body and our being. And that flexibility isn't the kind of flexibility you get from stretching. It's a core flexibility that comes from being able to be with the things that terrify you the most, that feel too much for you to feel. And remaining present even though every survival message in your mind tells you to run like hell. I feel so abundantly blessed beyond to have had access to discovering these parts of me in the depths of each painful experience, with the permission and allowing to be fully immersed into my darkest and most painful places. Each and every time I find a new part of me that has literally been dying for me to see it and be with it. And this is how I've come alive. So with the time that I have left, I'm going to do something very bold. And I'm going to demonstrate what it looks like when the body has opened up enough to allow the energy of the soul to come through. I'm going to invite my dear friend Christy up, who has been receiving the type of care that I do for about a year and a half. And her body has the strategies to move from a survival mode, a defensive protected state, into receiving life beyond survival, beyond the mind, really into the soul and through the soul. I'll talk a little bit while I work, but mostly I'm just going to let you feel and experience the energy, and feel free to ask me questions after I will be around. This is my dear friend Christy. Come have a seat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to feel her. I'm going to feel her spine. I'm going to feel her body. I'm going to feel her in her body. I'm just going to sense where she is, where she's not. What I'm looking for right now is where I can find her, where I can actually get into her body, where she can feel herself and find herself. She has very advanced strategies, so she will find me even when I'm not touching her body. And her body will start to open. And will start to find herself. All the areas that are fragmented will start to coalesce, find themselves. And if your body is in a state of defense, survival mode, it won't be able to open itself. So I watch her breath come through. I watch the energy start to move through her body as her body starts to open. that her body's opened up, her chest can start to come, her heart can start to respond to the energy of her soul. Allow yourself to just feel what that energy feels like, with that openness and expansion. It's all available to us.
After you've been in train because it's all somatic. So it just has this incredible feeling of energy and tranquility, and that there's nothing separate. There's just nothing separate within me in my experience. And it's